I am Luciana Hartwin. Welcome to the Lilith Verse. If you find value here, please share, like, comment, and subscribe. The cradle of civilization, where stories first learned to speak. If you walk far enough back in time, past pyramids, past scrolls, past the stones of forgotten temples, you will come to a place where stories first learned to speak. The land is flat, wide as an unrolled parchment, its horizon stitched together by heat and river mist. Two rivers run like twin silver threads through the dust, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Their waters bring life and death in equal measure. They swell and flood without warning, and when they retreat, the soil is rich and black, and the people begin again. This is Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. And once upon a time, long before anyone could imagine Rome or Athens or London, Sumer rose from its clay. They say it was the first civilization, the first place where people built cities instead of wandering, where they told the earth, "You will feed us," and the rivers, "You will obey." The world did not begin here, but civilization did. And with civilization came myth, and with myth came memory, and with memory came Lilith's shadow. When villages learned to dream. 10,000 years ago, the land was quiet, just riverbanks, reeds whispering, and a few small villages. People farmed, fished, prayed to the wind and the water, and hoped the world would be kind. But villages are like seeds. They only need time and the right soil to grow teeth and ambition. By 4000 BCE, the villages had become towns, and the towns became city-states. On the flat horizon, something new rose: ziggurats. Imagine a staircase to heaven built of sun-baked clay, wide and tiered, painted with bright colors that the desert has long since stolen. At the top, a shrine to a god who might bless the harvest or flood it into ruin. The people of Sumer knew their gods were not gentle. They were beautiful and dangerous and necessary. They gave life and demanded it back, often without warning. To live in Mesopotamia was to live in negotiation with the divine. The first cities. If you had walked the dusty streets of Uruk, Urudu, and Lagash, you would have heard life itself being invented. These are markets with fish drying in the sun, donkeys braying, and clay jars stacked high with grain. Priests carry offerings up the ziggurat steps. Children chase each other between mud brick walls. And somewhere, in a cool room of a temple, a scribe leans over a lump of wet clay and presses a reed into it. The world's first words take shape as wedges. These words do not tell stories, not yet. They count barley and sheep and temple offerings. But words are tricky things once they exist. They begin to dream. In time, they will write hymns and epics and incantations. They will whisper the first recorded myths of the world. A fragile world, a capricious heaven. Mesopotamia was a land of extremes. The rivers gave everything and could take it away overnight. Crops died in the heat. Floods could swallow entire villages. So the people imagined gods in their own image, but larger, fiercer, eternal. Anu, the unreachable sky. Enlil, the roaring wind and lord of authority. Enki, clever as flowing water, keeper of secrets, god of wisdom and magic. Inanna, the radiant star, goddess of love and war, laughter and blood. Utu, the sun, who could see all, and Enanna, the moon, whose face waxed and waned like fate itself. The Sumerians did not expect kindness from their gods. Life had taught them better. The gods could love you, and the next moment unmake you. To survive, the people built temples as homes for the gods, made offerings to keep them content, and sang hymns to remind them, "We are yours. Please let the rivers stay kind this year." And in the shadows, other things moved, spirits and dreams, the restless children of night and desert wind. Among these, one day, a whisper called Lilith would drift through the reeds and across the threshold of human fear. The birth of writing. If civilizations are made of brick and barley, they are remembered by words. Around 3200 BCE, the Sumerians gave the world cuneiform writing, pressing a stylus into wet clay to leave wedge-shaped marks. At first, the marks were humble, receipts, lists, tallies of offerings, but words, like seeds, grow into forests of story. Soon the Sumerians wrote hymns for Inanna, goddess of love and war, incantations to chase away disease and demons of the night, proverbs and riddles, the first jokes of humanity captured in clay, and eventually epics, long winding tales of gods and kings, life and death. The greatest of these is the Epic of Gilgamesh, the tale of a king who was 2/3 divine and 1/3 mortal, who defied the gods, sought immortality, and came to understand the weight of mortality. His story is the story of Sumer itself, proud, haunted, desperate to leave a mark before the same return everything to dust. Life between the rivers. The Sumerians lived with the river, for the river, against the river. They dug canals, invented the plow, harnessed the wheel, and turned grain into beer, thick, nourishing, and holy. They praised Ninkasi, goddess of brewing, for the simple magic of bread that flowed like water. Their lives were ordinary and cosmic all at once. A farmer's work in the fields was a ritual. A scribe's hand pressed prayers into clay. A child's laughter was an offering to the gods, who might strike or bless the city. This blend of daily labor and cosmic fear birthed a mythology that still vibrates in our bones. Storms became gods. Shadows became demons. Love was a battlefield because the goddess of love herself carried a sword. Kings and the first empires. At first, Sumer's cities were ruled by priest kings, those who could speak to gods and command irrigation canals in the same breath. Every city was a world unto itself, with its own god and its own ambitions. But cities breed envy and conflict, and soon the rivers ran red with war. Sumerian history is a litany of battles over water and land, over which god or king would reign supreme. The city of Uruk, home to Gilgamesh, became a legend. Its walls and ziggurats were said to touch the sky. Its patron, Inanna, was radiant and ruthless, loving and lethal, like the desert blooms that flower after the rain and wither the next day. In time, Sumer would fall to Akkad, and Sargon the Great would forge the first empire in history. Yet the spirit of Sumer lived on. Its gods, myths, and demons would flow into Akkadian, Babylonian, and Assyrian lore. They would whisper into the Hebrew desert winds, leave fingerprints on the Bible, and even shape the stories we tell today about demons, floods, and restless night spirits. Legacy in clay and shadow. Sumer's cities have crumbled into dust. Its ziggurats are mostly piles of sand. The Tigris and Euphrates still flow, but the people who first named the stars are gone. And yet they are not gone at all. Their words remain, baked in clay, immune to time. Their gods still stark our stories, wearing new names. Their fears became our folklore. The restless dead, the vengeful demons, the bargains with beings older than kings. And somewhere in the reeds, in the desert wind, Lilith waits, her lineage tied to the Lilitu and Ardat Lily, the Sumerian night spirits who haunted cribs and dreams. She is the echo of that first fear, that in the darkness something old and female and hungry waits for the careless and the unwary. Stepping into the myth. This is the land we enter as we begin our Sumerian mythology series on the Lilith Verse. Before Egypt carved its gods into stone, before Olympus crowned its gods with laurel, Sumer wrote its gods in clay and set them loose in the world. Their myths are haunting, human and eternal, filled with desire, ambition, and the shadow of death. In the episodes to come, we will meet Inanna. We will meet Ereshkigal, Enki, the sly water god with a laugh like a ripple, Gilgamesh, restless king of Uruk, and the whispering demons of the night, who may yet be the ancestors of Lilith herself. So step softly. The dust of Sumer still remembers. The wind might carry the scent of river mud and incense. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear the first stories breathing. If you enjoyed that, please share, like, comment, and subscribe. I am Luciana Hartwin, and this is the Lilith Verse.